So the Parkland mass shooter is on trial right now in Florida. He pleaded guilty to the shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School that killed 17 people in 2018. So now a jury is deciding if he deserves the death penalty. Well, yesterday his defense attorney argued the jury should spare his life because he was, quote, poisoned in the womb when his biological mother drank and did drugs, saying, quote, his brain was irretrievably broken. So what do you all think of this defense? Do you think that he, Erica, may be having some sort of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder? Would that, in your opinion, if you were a juror, would that paint empathy around him so he does not receive the death penalty?
No. No. As someone who's worked in child welfare for years, I can tell you that fetal alcohol syndrome is not something that two people suffer from. So the idea that that's what you were going to use as your defense, you would have to really look at the numbers of children who are born with fetal alcohol syndrome and see how many of them go on to commit mass shootings, because I know that number is very small.
Yeah, it kind of makes me sick that people defend someone like this. I get that's our constitutional right, but he would be dead if I was running for president. He would be dead already. That'd be something that I would run on, saying if I could catch a mass shooter red-handed, no questions. I'm not talking about people who are put in jail that didn't do it. I'm talking about you walk out of there, you have the gun, you kill them, you die that weekend. Not our taxpayers pay for you. Now you get all these trials. Not that people are still talking about you from 2016, because for some reason there's like famous mass shootings when we talk about that, when we talk about Columbine. And then all of a sudden we want to see what they're doing now. We just talked about this yesterday. It disgusts me. It disgusts me.
Yeah, social media has done a lot to kind of show us, that kind of shine the light on the fact that there's a lot of people that have a lot of reverence for mass shooters, which is terrifying. Yeah. And I think we've kind of seen the trend. It's sad to say that we've seen a trend because we've covered so many of these, but they used to kill themselves at the end, and now a lot of them are just giving themselves up. The Buffalo shooter, Dylan Roof, that murderer, because they know jail won't probably be that bad. They'll go in there to a warm reception because there are people in jail that definitely feel the same way they do. And they'll get married, they'll have a life, they'll write a couple books, make some paintings. I don't know if the death penalty is the best way to go. And I'm talking strictly finances here. It costs a lot of money because there's going to be appeal after appeal after appeal of taxpayer money. And it's like, how much resources are we going to spend on this human being? How many psychologists did we have to dispatch to Parkland? How many EMTs? How many people had to be taken care of? I'm tired of this person, and I feel like he's taken up too much already.
I agree with that. I disagree with the inmates. Mm-hmm. I know that, most of the inmates in there are not violent killers, and I think they would despise child killers. Mm-hmm. I mean, he killed students and some teachers, but I would think that the worst fate for him, even though I agree with all three of you, I think the worst fate for him would be to be locked up, because I think the majority of those inmates. Now, the supermax would mean he'd probably be in isolation, I would only imagine. But again, I would only think most of those inmates aren't going to be very fond or celebrate somebody that killed students. Right. I would think they would think that's cowardly.
I was speaking more.
Well, why don't they let nature take its course then and put them in general population?
That's what they did with Jeffrey Dahmer.
You know what I mean?
They took care of that.
Yeah, I'm just saying it shouldn't be their job to do something like that. But we focus on these stories, and we should be talking about the victims' families. What have you been up to? How has life changed? Oh, it hasn't? You've been shattered for eternity now? But let's see what happens to this guy. Let's continue to talk about these shooters. It makes me sick, really.
It does. It makes me sick, too.